Welcome everyone. We are live. I'll wait and make sure we've got audio before we get going too far. I'm prone to talking when there's no audio, or it looks like it's working on my end, but I will wait. There's always a bit of a lag here. I apologize. Let's see. Anything? Audio's okay. Okay, here we go. So tonight we are going over some critiques that you guys have submitted from members over on Patreon. And I've only got a handful, which I get to go a little bit more in depth on some of these, which is fun. I've only looked at a couple, like the first two, and only quickly. So it's kind of a first impression sort of thing as we're going. I'm also going to be sharing some of the Black Friday paintings I have for sale right now. They are live on my website. You can, of course, go look on your own. Link is in the description to the sales section. But I've got, excuse me, some in here that I can be sharing too. We're in my office tonight, so my greyhounds are not with us, but we do have I don't have it on this. I have to, hold on, where is it? We've got the reef tank tonight, which colors are super muted, which drives me crazy on that, because everything in there really glows, but they're muted, and my big, huge leather, which is normally big and green and fluffy, is shedding right now, so it kind of looks terrible. But anyway, moving on. That's what is going to happen. If you wanted to send super chats, fish get food tonight, or extra food, because I like to overfeed. So let's see. We've got everything. I think we are good. And yeah, we are ready to start. I will be doing the editing in Photoshop. Everyone always asks me whatever version the current one is. I do the monthly subscription. So I've got Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere Pro, all their whole little kit thing, which I super love. I use not all of it, but enough of it, it's worth the monthly subscription. And just before we get started, when it comes to these critiques, these are just my opinions. If you are, like, the people who are submitting to me are people who I would guess want their work to look similar to mine, so moving more towards realism, but it's art. It's going to be suggestive. I hope not. Subjective. So everyone's going to have different tastes there. These are just my first impressions and some of the tips that I would give to my own students. Please, for those of you who have submitted, don't let anything I say discourage you. This is only meant to encourage you to push further into your work. So that is my quick little disclaimer. Again, just my own advice I would give to my students. And let's go ahead and start pulling these up. Now, the first one we're going to go over tonight was actually submitted back. I think I might have two that were submitted from the last critique that came in after the critique was over. So I'm going to start with that tonight. So we've got, whoops, let's see, where did it go? We've got this goat. I believe this was an acrylics. Let me pull up what the artist said. This is by Kimberly Noel Art. She said, this is a painting of a goat named Blossom. She was rescued after escaping a live market. Good job, Blossom. And she goes through the details there of Blossom's name. So she wanted something that included Blossom's name. And she said, update on the request. My challenge was that while my intention was to include flowers in this portrait of a goat, I'm not sure about the composition. I love how you combine realism along with surrealism, looking for composition tips. Okay, perfect. And let's go ahead. Hold on, I have to switch screens because where are we? Where is the screen I need? Okay. And where? Oh, I'm not as ready as I thought I was. No one is surprised. So here is Blossom the goat. So going over the composition here, yeah, it is a bit, the first thing that I like, let's start with that. This, let me see, is my pen going to show? Yeah, good. I like this area here. Let's go ahead. Oh, hold on. Already having problems with Photoshop. Let me new layer, because I'm really bad about that. And let's pull all of this over here. Okay. It's going to be weird because this is not my normal setup the way I'm twisting to the side here. So you'll have to bear with me for being slow here. Okay. So the first thing that I notice here, or I want to go over on, let's see, red. So you can see, no, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. This area in here, see how we've got the pink, actually, let's pull over Photoshop, photo, my pen. There we go. Okay. I really like, see how we've got the pink in here? That is awesome. You've pulled the colors, you've introduced something new into the painting that wasn't obviously a part of whatever the original reference photo, and I don't have the original reference photo, so I can't compare accuracy there. It looks like a goat. We'll go with that. We're just gonna focus on the flower composition tonight. So I do really like that you pulled the pinks into the goat. That is awesome. I like that we've got a good amount of contrast. We've got the shading in here. The definite darks and lights work really well. I be careful with the, as far as composition goes, see the way that the horns end right at the end, right here. They go off the screen, but not that much. They're a bit too close to the edge. I would either make it bigger going all the way off or pull it in a little bit. Maybe play around with the angle of the goat so that it's not just, I feel like they're just pulling you right off the edge there. Now, the thing that I do like is that the artist has pulled in some of the green and toned down the edge so that they're not that bright. Like the brightness is not starting here and going all the way over. So that is good. But feel like this is just too close to the end of the edge of the canvas there. As a general rule, when you have something that is going to go off the canvas or is right along the edge, either make it go off completely, and this goes off, but it's a little on the close, like it's cutting it close, or stay within an inch of the edge of the canvas. Otherwise, it ends up just kind of pulling your attention off that canvas. So that would be one thing. This, though, because the artist did keep it lighter in here and then got darker as we moved out, that does help block the viewer in a little bit more on the center. So I don't want to make it sound like this was completely like a terrible thing. No, the artist, with what she had, she did a great job in darkening the ends of the horn so they didn't draw too much attention off the canvas. So that is good. But I would either go make it more obvious they completely go off or not. Okay, moving on. So the flowers. Yeah, the positioning of the flowers is a little bit odd. One of the things that you can do that I really like, if you're ever having a hard time figuring out composition, is go by the rule of thirds. So let's pull that into this. Give me 1 second to pull that file up. I can never remember if I called it rule of thirds or just thirds. Nope, it's not thirds. It's apparently not under that either. Let's try this way. I have a file that I just always keep ready to go so that it's very easy to, there we go. Let's pull that on in. And we'll just shrink you because I'm sure I'll be using that again tonight. So let's pull this. I'm just going to stretch this guy. So what the rule of thirds is, if you were to separate your canvas into thirds vertically and horizontally, you get something like this. And these circles, these are your hot spots, your corners where you really want your focus to be. So usually, like if I'm doing a portrait, I want the animal's eye there. If I'm doing a landscape, one of these lines here is going to be where I want like the skyline. Now, the thing with the rule of thirds, it's not like a written in stone, you always need to follow the rule of thirds. Sometimes it just looks better if you don't. But if you ever hit a point where you're like, I'm not sure on the composition if this is balanced well, pull this into I do a Photoshop mockup or a sketch, and you can even do this with a sketch without Photoshop and put your lines on there and see what it looks like. Maybe you need to adjust stuff. Now, I personally like to do this in Photoshop because it's really easy for me to move stuff around to see what it's going to look like. So let's pull this down. So rule of thirds, his eyes are almost on the rule of thirds, which is funny. But here, huge thing would be, I would pull the flowers all the way farther up into this area. So you're not just down at the bottom edge. I think that would make a big difference on this. Now, another thing that I want to I'll bring up, we'll come back to the details on the flowers and such, but that would be, I think, a better look. Right now, it's just kind of in this one small area just at the bottom. So I would do more flowers, but these flowers are way too pink for this piece. You did a good job pulling the pink into the goat. You've got pink in the ears, you pulled it into the chin, that is perfect. But you didn't pull any of the greens or the browns or the blacks. None of that was pulled into the rose. You want to go both directions. So I often talk about whatever, like when you change your background when you start combining multiple reference photos. You want to pull whatever color is in your background into the subject. But it goes in the reverse too. Well, in this case, you pulled part of the subject, or well, I guess there's two subjects here, but you pulled it into the goat, but you didn't pull any of those background colors into the roses. So the roses feel very much like they're a part of a completely different scene. And they're way too light for this painting. You've got these beautiful dark greens, the nice darks on that goat. I love the shading you did on his forehead. Like, I can feel the fur there. It looks awesome. Such a good job. But the roses don't have any real darks. So if you were to just take these pink roses and raise them up so they fit the real roll of thirds, it's still not going to look right. It's going to be too weird pink, like, wow, that's some pink. Those are roses. Instead, I would look for roses or reference photos that had a lot of the darks involved. Now, if you can't find the perfect photo, that's where I use Lightroom. Whatever photo editor you have, I can pull those darks super dark to see what that would look like. And it really helps when you're working with multiple photos, being able to edit the photo to see what it would look like before you hit the canvas. I have avoided many, many mistakes in my life because of doing Photoshop mock-ups or any editor. And you've got an app on your phone, take a photo of what you're doing, a sketch, whatever, and mess around with filters there. But that is what I would do. So the position of the rose, I think, and I'm glad that you didn't pull this bright of a pink up high into the rule of thirds. But how amazing this would look if you had these darker. Actually, hold on, I will show you. We've got time tonight. Let me see if I can't find it quick. We'll move on because I think I've made the point. But I would like. Let's look at Unsplash really quick. Let's see if I can find some darker roses. Actually, we're just gonna play with this. Oh, there's some pretty. Dang, there's some pretty roses I want to paint on Unsplash right now. Okay, so Unsplash, if you're unfamiliar, is just a royalty-free reference photo. Like, you can use these in your artwork. So let's download these. These ones are not pink, they're red, but they're dark, and that may work a lot better for this piece. Now, that's not to say that you can't find darker pink or pink that have darker shadows. You certainly can. Actually, do I have any quickly? Trying to find, not waste too much time. It looks like wasting time is what I'm gonna do anyway. Because why not? This one's actually really pretty. This would be an interesting way. Let's pull these in here. Now, I'm not going to do a good Photoshop job. I just want to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. And what's funny is these roses are actually way more pink. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to drop you out, and I'm going to pull some roses. Give me just a second. So these ones are a lighter pink, but they would actually work better with this piece because look at the dark, dark shadows we have going on there. You could also, I've got some really dark red ones, which would work. But even though these are darker, look at the color palette there, how much better that goes with this goat part because your darks are so dark. But also that pink is closer to that white pastel color. It makes more sense. It's not as... look at me. And I think that's the problem here. These roses right now being that bright pink are just me. I'm over here. Look at me. I'm not necessarily in the right position, but look at me anyway. So here, look at how much more that would tone things down. And so I'm going to just do a quick, we will pull these out. Let's pull the rule of thirds back in there. And just to give us an idea, I'm going to erase some stuff in here. I'm not, again, not doing a good job. We're not going for professional here. We're going for fast. Now, this would probably require you to pull the goat up a bit, but let's see what happens. So now you can see that those roses are closer to within that rule of thirds. But look at how much better the colors. That alone. And now I would position them a little better. I would be more refined. But look at the color difference there. I lost my screen. There it goes. The color difference here. This is so much more balanced. It's not, look at me, the roses. The roses are a part of the painting instead of a neon sign, if that makes sense. And again, this could be positioned way better. I would probably move the goat a little bit off to the side here. Actually, we could probably do that. Where is my mouse? Got lost. The joys of working with two monitors. I love this. I would love to see you do this painting again because you're off to, like, it's good. But oh my gosh, you could even, like, with your skill level, just a few of these changes. Oh my gosh. Yes. We move that goat over here a little bit. We now solve the problem of the horn. One horn's going completely off. I would pull more green off here. Here, let's do this. I'm just gonna paint right over that. Not doing a good job here, but you get the idea. But look at the composition difference already just from that small, maybe lower these a little bit. Now his horns, everything would make much more sense. So we'll pull these all out. Actually, let's connect. I lost my mouse again. There we go. So we have our original, and just by making a few changes, look what we can turn that into. So you get to stay with the concept of the blossom. But now everything just, it's more soothing to look at instead of harsh. Like the pink roses, being that pink, are very, very neon-y harsh compared to the goat. Like I feel like the style of the painting of the goat has that more soft feel. So that's where I think you were getting a bit of conflict between those two areas. Raise those roses, and I would keep the edges soft. You can see how I've got it. I mean, maybe not exactly like this. I would probably soften it more, but I would let those roses just kind of fade into the background, just blend right in. I would probably not make them harsh so they don't look like a cutout sticker. And that is just going to give you this soft, like, yeah, that is what I would do on that one. Okay, next. And I don't think, actually, I can probably just close that. I don't think I need that. I love that painting though, like seriously. Okay, who is next? We have Carrie Franklin. She did art in high school. She said she loved it. About 2 years ago, she saw me on YouTube and started following. Haven't picked up a brush or pencil since high school 27 years ago. You have rekindled the fire. Oh, that's so awesome. That gives me goosebumps. Now my 10-year-old daughter loves to paint and draw with me. Okay, that's even better. Thank you for the instruction and the classes. So these two pieces, I don't have the reference photo with me. And she said there's two. So I'm not going to go super in depth on, like, we'll go through them kind of quickly. But there's good things to talk about on both, so I'm going to go ahead and do both. Let's see. What are you doing over there, Tuna? We've got you and you. Okay, so the first one. This is the raccoon, and I know this reference photo because I painted it. So this raccoon, that is done in acrylics. Airbrush background, I love how that came out, so good. The raccoon, I would just do, well, one, the photo, you've got a high gloss, so that makes things more challenging. But I would definitely get more shading in the raccoon. I think it looks pretty close to accurate, not exact, we're getting there, but it's a little bit lighter than what you want. I don't know if I have that. Do I have the reference photo still? I don't know. Let me see real quick. I mean, I'm sure I do. I just don't know if it's on this computer. Oh, I do. Okay. Lucky or unlucky for this artist, I have the reference photo. So let's pull these down so we can see them a little bit more closely. Okay, so look at the shadows. Like everything is so white. So like, and this is a very, very common thing. It's scary to go dark. It is scary to go too dark. You would not believe how many white Will Smith photos or portraits I have seen. it's very, it's kind of, it's doesn't look right. But that's kind of what we have going on here. Not that Will Smith looks like a raccoon, but we get the idea. The shadows in here around the neck, like they're just completely missing. We want to go way darker. I mean, if we look at this area on the raccoon, pen, where were we? This area, look, oh, that's not what I was using earlier, was it? Let's just adjust that a little bit. There we go. Look how dark this is still not the right color though. Or are we just not gonna, weren't gonna do that apparently. There we go. I want red. There we go. Look at how dark that shadow needs to be. But when we look at the reference photo, it's just not there. Like the hint of it is there. Darker, more like this area looks pretty good, but we still would go dark. I would go darker, especially around the edges. Let that fade out. Because right now it almost looks like he's cut out like just with scissors and stuck on a different background. You want to pull those shadows in. So let's do a little bit. Let's do a new layer. Let me show you what would happen even with just adjusting our shadows there. Hold on, I've got to pull this back over. There we go. What is being mad at me right now? Oh, this. Pay attention. Okay. So we've got you. I probably need you to be, you are not doing, there we go. But we need to drop the opacity down. Sorry about this. Here we go. Okay, let's just tone some of this down. That is too dark. Let's lighten you up for this area. Okay, just soften this out. Blur that out. You've got an airbrush. This is easy for you to do. Don't make it quite so harsh. And then in here, we're going to do the same thing. Let's pull this so it's a little bit closer to the background. It's very, very common when we're painting, especially when you really like detail a lot, to try to make everything so detailed and the edges so sharp and well defined that it's too defined, it's too sharp. You want to watch in your artwork, if you're trying to get something to look very realistic, which obviously this artist is, when you want it to be really realistic, you need to have a face, like you've got to watch where are your sharp edges, where are your soft edges. They should not all be sharp. That was an important lesson for me to learn, and it took many, many years because it didn't even, like it never crossed my mind. Detail everything, background, foreground, everything detailed. No, let it be soft. Soften things out. They shouldn't all be super harsh. And so here, as we come through, just soften that up. I'm a little bit too dark, but whatever. We'll just pull the dark back out there. And let's just drop the opacity down a bit more. But see, just a little bit softening that edge. Now this edge looks good over here because you've got the light up against a lighter area. So that works. But let's close this. I don't need that. But this over here was just way too harsh. And then of course these shadows in here are completely missing. So same thing. Let's just pull those. If we go over those and start pushing those back, that actually would need to be a lot darker. You've got to get a lot more darks in there. And the way that I would do this, so right now, I'm just making everything solid dark. What I would actually do when I paint something like that, make it dark, and then come on top with your midtones. But your midtones, like, or your brightest highlights right now are not, let's actually pull this out really quick. I'll show you. Your darkest darks are about what your lightest light should be here. So let's see on this guy. Where is my color? Let's do this. Hold on. Yeah, sure, that'll work. I'm going somewhere with this. Hang on. This will be helpful. Okay. Now, if we look in this area, the brightest highlight there, oops. Oh, wait, that's not how I do that. Let's go with layer fill. I haven't done this in a while. Can you tell? Solid color. Okay. There we go. Now I can easily do this. If we look at his lightest, like the lighter color in that shadow, that is actually more of a mid-gray. Your darkest area, is that actually lighter than that? Yeah. Your darkest area is lighter than what the lightest area should be. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how dark you really can go. And this is one of the things that tends to make work look more realistic. If you don't have your contrast, it doesn't matter how much detail you put. It doesn't matter how perfect the drawing is. If your darks are not dark enough and your lights are not light enough, you flatten things out and you don't get that three-dimensional look. So if we instead pull, all of that could be so much. Now, this is a little bit overexposed with the photo. There is a bit of glare, so I will give you that, but it's not that much glare. Like, realistically, look at how dark we need to go. And what that's going to do is push the face of the raccoon forward and pull his neck back. Right now, flat surface, because the light area around here, oops, that's not what I meant. See, there you go. There, look how light the light is. That's supposed to be just around the face. Okay. You go down. We'll come back to you later, I'm sure. Pen. So this area, see how the face, what are you doing? My target layer is hidden. Oh, what am I doing? And also my mouse. There we go. Okay. If we look, oh, I didn't need that. We'll just keep this open. If we look here, see how the face right now, whoops. I'm not set up for this. I'm not switching back and forth like I should be. Okay, see how the face, it doesn't stand out. It needs to look different. Like one, we've got a few things. So let's back up a little bit. So one, the face is not separated from the neck. That's because the neck is just not dark enough. But the other thing that I noticed when I just did that little circle thing, this guy, see how he's more of a smiley almost face, a loose? It shouldn't be a perfect round. See how it extends this way. So the shape in general, we do have some work that I would like to see a little bit more accurate with the drawing. But besides that, even if the drawing wasn't perfectly accurate, which it does need to be when you're going for realism, if something's not perfectly drawn, it can still look kind of realistic if your values are good, but it will always look a little bit off to the viewer. Even if the viewer doesn't realize it looks off, it just looks a little off. One of the things that happens a lot for artists when they continuously draw things a little bit off is that they start to accept that as being accurate. Start tracing, start using a projector more often, and that is going to really help you to start recognizing when things are just a little bit off. And the more you paint and draw, the more you're going to notice things. But if you're tracing in addition to that, you may be, but if you're tracing in addition to that, that's going to help you to get more accurate longer. Also, you're hearing Tuna sing now in the background, so have fun with that. But yeah, the color in here, getting those darks darker, and oh my gosh, you're going to be so amazing. Like, you are doing such a good job. So I don't want you to feel frustrated with this. It's just, get this whole neck area darker, which pushes it back, brings his snoot forward, and get just a little bit more precise on the drawing. So if you're not already tracing and using a projector, start doing one or the other. If you are already doing that, this will get better just with practice. What happens with a lot of people when they don't use a projector or they don't trace at all, because I always hear people say, no, that slows you down, you'll never learn to draw. That is absolutely not true. It will help you to start recognizing when you do freehand on your own when something is not quite right, because when you keep freehanding and you keep being a little bit off and a little bit off every time, like I think I mentioned that a few minutes ago, I repeat myself. It's what I do. You start accepting that as being accurate, but the viewer who comes and looks at it, even if they're not an artist, is like, they just know it's a little off. Something seems a little unsettling because it's not quite right. So anyway, those are my tips for that one. And then quickly, we did have another one from the same artist. Okay, this needs to come over here. I think, was this the lion I did? This might be the lion I did. Let me see. I think, was it? I do so many paintings and drawings that I can't keep track of everything that I've created. I mean, I know I've done a charcoal lion. Let's see. I'm checking because if it is mine, then I've got the reference photo. Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to pull both of them over here. Okay, so here was the reference photo. I obviously didn't go exact. There is the, I think, is that the same one I used? There is the My Lion that we went from, and here's this one. And this one we're running into the same thing. You were close. And I don't want to give you the impression that you can't take some artistic liberties. I obviously did. You know, make it what you want it to be. But you've got to get those values in there. Otherwise, it doesn't look three-dimensional enough. And so you can see on mine the difference in how dark everything is. Go darker. It's scary. And I get it. It feels scary. But start focusing on making those darks darker. Your light's light enough. You're not having a problem on that end. You need to get those darks darker. It is going to make all the difference in the world in this. Now, the eyes, the one thing, the hair doesn't have to be exact. The ears don't even have to be in the exact right place. The nose and the mouth go for close, but the eyes, you got to put a little bit more into the eyes. This eye here needs to just be raised a bit. It's a little bit too down and squinty. And I get it because I'm looking at the reference photo and it kind of looks that way with the shadow. But if you do, well, really, if you pull your darks into all of this, you can fix a lot of that. But that needs to, the bottom is fine. The top needs to be pulled up just a bit. But no, you're doing a great job. Just get those darks darker is going to be like, that's going to make such a difference in your work. I'm excited to see what your work looks like, even in 6 months. Like just that little change, you aren't going to believe the difference. Okay, now really quick, I do want to show a couple of pieces that I've got on this sale tonight. Oops, hold on just a second, making sure I'm not missing anything. No. Okay. So we've got, let's see. Let's do it this way. Can I do it this way? Yeah, I think I can show this way. So one of the paintings I have on there is a toucan. So we've got that painting. That one has the airbrush background. And look, it's shiny. It's already got the varnish on it. So, you know, it won't look blue. That varnish that you're seeing is because my reef tank has blue actinic lights. So that's where you're getting the blue, but it is shiny. So that guy is available. He is up. What is his normal price is $450. You can get him for $100 off right now. He is $350. So that's a cool one. And then I've got another one about the same size. I think, yeah, these are the same size. This one is a 11 by 14 inch. So I've got tiger and bubbles, same thing, already been varnished. This one is an oil painting, oil or acrylic or oil. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember. It's been a while, but I needed to start putting more bubbles and stuff. I went through a phase with bubbles, and now that I'm looking at that, I really like that. I need more bubbles. But anyway, that is available up on my site. What is he for? Oh, the raccoon that I just pulled up is on there too. Oh, he's a $200 off. Dang. I don't know why I make the decisions I make sometimes. This guy is normally $4.95. He is $3.95 right now. So, yay. Okay. Back to the critiques. So let's see who is next. Oops, I want to put these in the other way. We have this is the one that I used on my did I already save this? No. I saved one of them. On my thumbnail here. This is, let's pull it up. I'll pull it up and then read. Yeah, I hear you over there, Tuna Bird. I know. I think so too. This is what I have this is how we talk all day long. But this is what happens when you work from home. You talk like you're having a whole conversation with your animals. Okay, so this is from Tina. She said, "Hi Lisa, I've been painting in acrylics for about 18 months now, and I thought it might be worth submitting a piece for critique. Just playing around with ideas, trying to discover my own style." Yay, that's awesome right there. I decided to try realism with a bold two-dimensional background. My greatest challenge was by far the fireflies. Using an airbrush is very new to me, but after watching you create fireflies in a tutorial a few months back, I thought they might be a nice addition to the painting. I do like them. Would love to know what you think. Okay, so one of the things, first off, I love that you were trying to combine the two different styles. That is so cool. I love the fireflies. This here is so pretty. Where did my screen go? I know, I hear you, Tuna. I think so too. It's got a pretty flower that you're not going near because you will eat it. Okay, so we have this portion of the flower, the softness. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. And the funny thing is, when my first impression when I saw this, obviously red-eye tree frogs, you guys know my love of red-eye tree frogs, but my first impression was, wow, you put so much work in here, but you didn't put as much work on the leaves. That's kind of weird. Like, that was just my first thought. What that tells me is that because you're combining two styles, which I love, by the way, it's not obvious enough. You've got to watch that when you're trying to make it like an obvious two different styles. It has to be obvious. You want to make sure that when the viewer looks at it, they know it was on purpose. And right now, your style in the background, the shading is just enough shading that it's kind of like, oh, she rushed over that. No, like my first thought wasn't, oh, it's two different styles. So now that I know, I see it. But if you wouldn't have told me, I don't know that it wasn't the first thing I picked up. Like, again, going by first impression, I love that you used the gold paint in there too. Now that part definitely looks more stylized. But what if instead, so your flower portion looks super realistic. I'd like to see a little bit more shading in the green on the frog. Maybe pull out the highlights a little bit more. The eyes have a little bit more variation in your light and your dark, so you could put a little bit more there, because the problem that you're going to run into with combining two styles is that because it has to be so obvious, you need to go extreme on each style. So you want realism. That realism needs to be extremely you need to put a bit of extra work into making it look really realistic. And that's not to say that the frog and the flower on their own, they're stunning. The reason that I'm pushing that, like, go further on it, the flower, perfect as it is. The fuzz on that flower is insane. But the frog, I think a little bit more contrast with the darks and the lights there would give him more realism looking. Now, the flowers or the leaves in the background, some things that you can do to make that more obvious that it's a different style. You've got the lines. Obviously, you weren't going, now that I know that, weren't going for super realistic. But what if you had bold outlines? Maybe the bold outlines are gold. Maybe, I don't know, something that makes it more almost like pop art. So it's really clearly not supposed to look realistic. It has just enough shading that it kind of does. And I almost wonder with the fireflies if that brings in some of the confusion as to which part is realistic and which is not. Instead of and you know my love of fireflies, so I hate to say this, but what if instead of fireflies you had a print like a damask print or polka dots, like an actual like pop art style polka dots, something that is so clearly not trying to be realistic? Because right now it's like your foreground, the closest to you, super realistic. Mid-ground is your pop art kind of style, or whatever style we're going to go with. And then behind that, fireflies, again, we're going back to more realistic. I would like to see the entire background, something almost to where it looked like wallpaper. Something so obviously not, although that could look just like realistic wallpaper. So, watch that. But don't do too much shading on it if you wanted it to really look realistic. The other thing that I noticed on this, the fireflies, the position of all of them look good, except right here. This is standing out to me. You've got two even, it almost looks, besides these two, but even then it looks like dice, like the 5 perfect. Watch that when you do fireflies or anything like that they're not lining up in a perfect shape like that. So that would be just those ones right there are just kind of, my eye is being drawn more to that than I want it to be drawn to the flower and the frog, because that is, you put so much work into it. So something like this being a little bit more bold. Now, if this were my painting, I might even just paint over the fireflies in the background. Even a solid color would look more stylized than what it is now. Leave the fireflies in the front would be fine, but the ones in the back, maybe if you just took those out completely, or I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas there. And what I would do if I were going to make any changes is I would do the changes in Photoshop or some photo editor and see what it looked like. Because maybe the things I'm suggesting, maybe you would think they look terrible. But if you do it in Photoshop, you can find out before you make a change and regret it. I would definitely change those fireflies need to, like, that really I do think should be changed. They're just really like too square. But no, this is such a cool concept. I'd really like to see you go further with this concept. I love that idea of combining the two different styles. You are definitely onto something, and I just can't get this right here. That softness, oh my gosh, so good. The shading, the everything, so good. One of the things too that I really like when you combine styles like this, when it shows off, like sometimes when somebody sees something that's done with pop art, or they see something that's more impressionistic, the average viewer often looks at that and they're like, oh, they just don't know how to paint very well. I know that's not true. You and I know that's not true. I mean, Picasso is a great example of that. A lot of people looked at Picasso's stuff and they're like, oh, he just isn't great at painting, like people who didn't like that style. But when you go back and look at how his realism was phenomenal, it suddenly makes you respect more his other styles, because you're like, you can paint really, really realistically, but you're choosing to paint the style. I don't know. It just does something to the viewer when they see that. It makes them respect the other style more. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess I get it, because you're like, oh, you do know how to paint, but this is a choice, not a lack of skill set, if that makes sense. And I love that about combining the two styles, because you're like, look how good I am, but look how cool this is. I just love the stylized look. So anyway, that is, whose piece was this, Python asked? This was from, did I not mention? I might not have. Tina Englert. I probably butchered that. Tina Englert. Tina. We're going to just say Tina. So great job there. I love this concept. And then, oh, you know, it's funny. She has the, oh, there's our reference photo. So I could have pulled that up on the frog. So see how the red-eyed tree frog, the greens are so bright. That is where it almost looks flat because he's so bright. That is what they look like. That is accurate for the daytime. At night, though, they'll get to almost purple, black, dark, like olive, army green. I'm just throwing out every color in the world there. Pick one. They turn olive on. So you can safely like pull in a lot of those shadows and make the shadows on the green a little bit darker. Now, leave the brights bright, but I would pull more shadows into that. I would look up other photos of red-eyed tree frogs and copy where the shadows are, like so you can see the location around the eyes and such. That will make it look even more three-dimensional, so it separates him more from the other style, so that he doesn't look too flat. Because even in the photo, he looks flat. He's all light. So I would hype up where the shadows are now. I'd just make them a little bit deeper on him. Okay. I know, Tuna. I know. I agree. Okay. Next, we have from Angela. She said the underpainting was done. Oh, let's pull this up first. I'm going to save this. So you guys can see what I'm talking about while we do that. Oh, isn't this the one? I think I did this in water-soluble graphite. I loved that. Okay, so Angela says the underpainting was done with water-soluble graphite, then a wash of watercolor paint. I was not happy with just the graphite, so I thought I would try a wash. I'm curious if you liked the wash, though. See, I need to know, this is why I always ask, like, I need to know what your goals were. So I get your goals, but were you happy with it? I knew you weren't happy with just the graphite, but I'm curious if you were happy with what the wash came out like. So, oh, back, what medium for the red-eyed tree frogs? I don't know if it said. I think it was acrylics. It looked like acrylics to me. Yeah, it had an airbrush, so it would have been acrylics. Let's see. I've got that. I need to open the right windows. Gibson, go lay down. Gibson, go lay down. Okay, I've got everything I wanted. Wait, who was this artist again? Angela. Okay. Now I don't have everything up. When I looked at, messed up my screen. There we go. Okay. So this is really pretty. Wait, was that yours? No. That's the reference photo. Yeah, that's the reference photo. That's not, that's the one, I did that one in water-soluble graphite. That's why it looks familiar. So the reason that the reference photo, to me, is like a stronger piece is the darks are so dark and the lights are so light. And that was what I loved about this one myself. That's the thing, the main thing I would change. I would make the darks in your yellows and such dark. Everything needs to be darker. Your lights your lights can be lighter. Let's do some, we'll take one flower and make some adjustments. So let me start by layer. Let me switch my glasses. Oof, no, not those ones. Those ones. Oh, that looks way better. Okay. Now I can't see that monitor, but whatever. So we are going to lighten this up a lot. And one of the things we can look at just in our values, where was that? This one. So we're not looking at the color here. I just want to look at the values. And actually, we can probably do this easier. Let's go layer, start with duplicate. Am I not on the right one? Oh yeah, there we go. Come on, mouse. Oh, where is my mouse? There it is. Layer style. Nope. What am I looking for? Image, adjustments, black and white. Okay, now we can see why this isn't quite as strong as the reference photo. It's not about having added color. It's about there's no contrast. Everything is mid-range. And that's what's going to make all the difference here. So the color, adding the wash of color, great. That's awesome. But the reason, and I bet the reason when you did the graphite you didn't love it wasn't about the graphite. The lights aren't light enough, darks aren't dark enough. Your drawing is fine, everything else is good. You just need to spend a little bit more time getting that difference in there. So let's pull this up. Watch what happens when we start lightening stuff up. So let's go with the color we've already got. And if we look at the little color map, see how you're down here? We don't want to be down there. We want to be up here, like really light. What brush do I have? It's probably not the brush I want. You're probably also not the brush I want, but the brush I get. Okay. We're just going to focus on this one, and this is going to be a very crafty, very quick job, but watch what happens when I adjust the values. And you've already got the hard part done. It was just about getting those lights in there. See, usually I say everything needs to be darker. This time it needs to go a little bit in both directions. Right away, already, what a difference that makes, getting just a few lights. I didn't even put the darks as dark as they need to go, and it already is like, wow, that stands out so nice. Same thing here. I want to go with even lighter in here. This is going to be a bit too soft, but you get the idea. And then I want to go way darker. So on, let's say this area, let's just pull that down. We're going to pull this way. Look at right now, already, how much more realistic that center area looks. Not because the detail's good, it's actually too soft, but because the contrast is in there. Light enough, dark enough. I love that you submitted this because it is the best example I think I've seen in a long time of what I'm talking about, because your drawing's perfect. Everything's mid-tone. Light's light enough, dark's dark enough. So same thing in here. We need to go way darker. So let's pull that in. We're going to go way darker. And I know that that feels scary at the time, but it will make a huge difference. And again, everything is way too soft right now just because the type of brush that I'm using, but you get the idea. So going through, again, way too soft. Let's pull a little bit more detail in there. The reason it's too soft is I'm using too large of a brush because I'm just rushing through. If I were doing this really well, I would use a much small, like I would shrink that brush way down. Just darkening that right on up. See, even here, even mine can keep going darker. That's a hot mess. Whatever, you get the idea. Okay, now watch the difference here with that one flower. What, two colors basically, a light and a dark. So I didn't go crazy on that. And what a difference that makes. So the problem wasn't the medium you're using. The problem wasn't solved by adding color. The problem was you didn't have your lights and your darks. You had the base work done. You had the hard part done. You've got everything in. Now you get to do the fun part. Get those lights lighter, get those darks darker. Now you went over this, I think you said with watercolor. You probably can go over it. You could continue with watercolor if you've got like an opaque watercolor that you can add your highlights to. So that will make a huge difference. But yeah, darks darker, lights lighter. And the more you push that, the difference in your work, it's jaw dropping what a difference that makes. And thank you for submitting that photo, the reference photo too. I could not have shown what that would be like without it. But yeah, that's it. That's all you needed. You are awesome. Your work is good. Get that contrast in there. Lights light enough, darks dark enough. Okay. This was set. Oh, I love this piece because it gave me such a good example. Could you put pastel over it? I don't know if the pastels will stick well. You might be able to. I'm not a pastel artist. So, I mean, I use pan pastels, but I don't know on this because you're getting into an area where you need more detail. So I don't know if pastels would be the choice. It might. I would test it and see what happens. That might work. It's certainly a possibility. Colored pencil. See, because you're going over graphite, I think this was water-soluble graphite. I didn't read well enough what she said. Hold on, let's look again. Water-soluble graphite. The colored pencil might stick well in the wash watercolor. Colored pencil, if it were mine, would probably be what I'd go with. Or I would use my, what was it? PH Martin Doctors, whatever, way too long of a name, white. That would get it light enough if I mix that in with some of the lighter watercolor paints. Or if the colored pencil sticks, I'll just go with colored pencil because it's easy to control. But pastels, yeah, pastels stuck. That would actually be easy too. Okay, next. Okay, warning for anybody who does not like spiders. Minimize your lesson or your thing because you're going to see a tarantula, but she's super cute, and we are going with it. So you've been warned. You can still listen. Just minimize it if you get the heebie-jeebies, or better yet, look at it anyway so you can get cured of the heebie-jeebies. Fun fact, I used to have major spider heebie-jeebies. Like, I could not look at a book. If I looked at a book, I couldn't touch where the photo was. Like, I remember when I was younger looking at animal photos. Jumping spiders cured me of it because they're so freaking cute. And now I have a tarantula myself. So you can get over the heebie-jeebies. Anyway, this comes from Inger, and I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize. Says, hi, I would love to get your feedback on the attached piece. However, I do understand if you want to avoid spiders on your channel. I'll leave that up to you. No, we'll go with it. I've just warned you guys. Minimize the screen if you don't want to see a spider. But really, let's desensitize you so you can learn how cute they are and appreciate. Like, seriously, want to see? Is she in here? She's right there. There's Charlie, my jumping spider. Anyway, there you go. Don't want to shake her up. She's super cute. But let's move on. I recently got back into painting in acrylics after years of doing other stuff, and this was the first proper piece I did. It's a 30 by 30 centimeter, approximately 12 by 12 inches. I was testing the golden open acrylics to see if I liked them, so I was working with very limited color palette. I had yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, zinc white, and titanium white. Pretty good color combo. Well, I did call it done. Okay, I think you've had enough of the spider warning. I'm going to pull this up because she actually wrote a lot. But, and I'm not saying that as in, please don't write so much. I actually want to know more information so that I can give you guys better advice. But I'm going to pull that up so you can see what we're talking about as we get going. Did I I save this? I think I saved this. Yes. Okay. This is really well done. So we've got the, oh, that is a beautiful tarantula too. Okay. I mean, she doesn't have ballet slippers like mine, but still beautiful. Okay, let's go on. So let's see. My biggest issue is I feel it feels too flat. I haven't been able to capture the depth that's in the reference photo. My second issue is how to paint the webs. That translucent layer surrounding the spider was a big part of why I wanted to paint this in the first place. Mine doesn't appear anywhere near the same feel. Feel free to use this as an example of the horrors of dry brushing. It's definitely not giving me the effect I wanted. That's funny. The last issue is color. Since I made this, I have invested in more colors, including black and phthalo blue and green. With the colors I had at the time, I wasn't able to get the shine on the spider, which also contributes to the feeling of the flat. I now know that I should have gessoed the canvas before I started. That'll make a difference. But I didn't at the time. I won't be able to watch live as it's the middle of the night in Central European time. But I am looking forward to seeing it later, regardless whether or not this one is included. No, we're including it. I think we gave enough of our, ooh, I hadn't looked at this. I'm going to, my first, like, I mean, I dropped it on the screen, but I didn't like really look at it. And my first impression, I like what you did on that spider web for the floor. That is, I see, like, we're going to talk about some improvements on the spider. I would not change that web. Oh my gosh. And if this is the example of not dry brushing, it wasn't a good example because it looks awesome. It actually looks good. So, and the reason I think that the dry brushing worked in this case is you're using open acrylics. So normal acrylics, because of the way that they dry very fast, dry brushing doesn't look the same with them as like with oil painting. Somebody had said in a video recently, commented on one of mine, well, the masters used dry brushed. Yeah. They didn't use acrylics. The masters used oil paints or charcoal and other things. But, you know, they weren't using acrylics. That wasn't a thing back then. So, like, by hundreds of years. So, oil painting, and I'm guessing then with the open acrylics, it gave you a little bit of a different look than you would typically get. So, I see what you're talking about where it would have been better if you gessoed. Absolutely. But no, your look of the spider, the web, I like what you did better than the photo. I think that you took that and massively improved on it. Because it looks like the web. I mean, I know. I have spiders. I see their webs all the time. That looks like a web. It just, I don't know. I like yours better. Now, I could say that you could pull a few more darks. So that is going to be one of the things. If we look at the reference photo, we've got up into these lighter areas. I like this. I don't think you need to go darker here. I think that that's good. But I think in here, if you pulled some of these areas and just darkened it a bit more, what you already have, make that a little bit deeper. I think that's adding to the flatness of the piece. So like here, this section I would leave. This area here, I think you gave it so much more dimension than the reference photo, because you're coming down, it's just kind of a weird angle. The way that you kind of flattened it, you created this look that I often talk about in landscapes. I just think you basically kind of changed the perspective. You gave it more depth is what you did. I love the choices you made there. I love like that right there. Those darks are so good. But those darks right in here should be the same darks as some of these up in here. And you may choose to keep it a little bit lighter than this, than the reference photo, so that your focus stays on the tarantula. But I think you could go a bit darker. And then the big thing is, it's not so much an issue of you not having the right colors to get the shine on the tarantula. I mean, a little bit, because you would want, what colors did you say you had? Let's see, you had yellow ochre. So, okay, what I would have done is mix more yellow ochre in with the blue. That way you could, hold on, why is that way back there? Let's get up there. I hope that didn't just mess anything up. But anyway, if you mix some of your yellow ochre in with this blue, it's going to pull it a little bit closer to green on the color wheel. It's not going to be as vibrant as like phthalo blue and phthalo green. That gives me that true turquoise color. That's how I achieve that. But by adding some of your yellow, you could bring that a little bit closer in here to your yellow or that greenish tone so that this blue and this blue were like one was a green blue, one was a blue blue, or you know, closer to, one's closer to purple on the color wheel, one's closer to green on the color wheel. And that's your goal there in creating that contrast. And with your yellow ochre, you certainly could have done that. Now you got raw sienna. I would certainly put more of that back here. Raw sienna is one of those, well, raw sienna or red oxide, either of those. I use them interchangeably. Because when you mix them with black, you get that nice dark brown. But here, your darks are not nearly dark enough on the body back here. This area is too light. Like, we need to darken the darks up. If you can get your darks dark enough, layer, new layer. If we can darken these up, you're gonna, oops, one of the reasons this doesn't feel shiny, so again, we've got the color situation where we want to improve, but one of the reasons that this doesn't feel very shiny is that your contrast isn't there. Your lights aren't light enough. Your dark, well, your lights are kind of light enough. Your darks aren't dark enough is your bigger thing. Where's my, why are you, there you go. Come on, pop up. So let's pull some of this down. And that red ochre, I would pull, like, look what a difference when you start pulling that around the blues. It makes the blue look more blue because that orange tone. But let's go back to pulling these darks. Like, look how dark this needs to go. I mean, we're talking black. Get that really dark. But because that, and this is why it's flat. It's not an issue of the paints not blending or having dry brushing. As much as I would love to bash dry brushing, you actually did a great job. Oh, it looks like she only has one eye. Let's give her some more eyes in there. Sorry, I'm fussing over things that don't really matter, but she wants to see out of both eyes. Okay. And all I'm doing really is with the black. I mean, I added a little bit of that raw sienna, or burnt sienna. Not raw sienna, wrong color. But I'll show you in a moment what this small amount of detailing is going to do, or not detailing, but shading will do for getting you that shine look. And this is the case, like, if let's say you're painting metal, the reason, if your metal doesn't look shiny, or you're painting water, it doesn't look shiny, your darks aren't dark enough. Your darks right up against your lights. Like, it is super high contrast you want to have there. I know, Tuna. I know. It's a cute spider. Yeah. Can you guys hear him? He's so cute. If you're unaware, Tuna's my canary. Don't get mad. It's possible some people didn't know. I hear you complaining over there. And you can do this with the painting now, like, even, well, unless you varnished it. But all I'm doing is using black, darkening that up. And what an absolute difference. I'm going to create a bit more of a shadow in the background. So that it looks like she's coming out of that shadow. Same thing, let's get a little, actually let's go a little bit lighter on that. I'm having a little too much fun there. Get her a little bit of a shadow underneath her. And then I would do the same thing. Let's go ahead and pull, now that we're doing it, well, actually, let's not go that dark. And I'm just going to I'm working with what you already have. I'm just going to darken a few of those. I mean, be cleaner. Mine's a little too fuzzy because I'm not using the right brush. But look at the difference. You go from, you've got the flat that you were complaining about. You can do this right now to this piece, as long as you didn't varnish it. If you varnish it, I'll just do it again. But yeah, you just don't have the darks in there. It's the same thing as with that flower. If we don't have those darks, your lights will never feel light enough because you don't have the darks in there. You need that contrast and getting those shadows. I've told this story before. There was a church that hired me to come in once. This was so many years ago. God, this was like 2002, 2003. But they had somebody came in and did this in their children's room. They had these huge murals of camels. I think it was the three wise men and the like that whole night scene and the star in the sky. And they're like, they liked it, but it looked so flat, so cartoony. All I did, I went in there with my airbrush and black paint because I kept it simple because that's what they were using for their shadows, the original artist. I added shadows. Oh, you should. They were so thrilled. All it needed black shadows. I had to darken the darks because the original artist didn't do a terrible job. They just didn't add any shadows. There was no. It wasn't even that there weren't shadows. They tried to do some. There, it was all mid-tone, and so it looked flat. And that's what's happening here. We're just all mid-tone. Darken some of those up, and suddenly it's like, whoa. And once you darken this up, you can see where you could darken a few areas, you know, a little bit more safely. That felt a little bit scarier before because you didn't have the darks of the spider. Now that we've got the darks of the tarantula, somebody's going to get mad at me for calling them spiders and not tarantulas because they're not true spiders, whatever. But if you get the darks of the tarantula in there, now you can start pulling some of those other darks in. Now, I wouldn't go too crazy. And mine up here, mine kind of looks crappy because mine's too fuzzy. Keep yours well defined. Up in this area here, I would keep that portion of the web defined. The rest of this, down into this area, that I would keep very soft like you've got now. I think it's perfect. But I would probably add a little bit more definition just around this opening, just a little bit. I would not go crazy with that. So yeah, again, the magic of getting the darks in there. But look at, even without having the right colors, because everyone's always worried about the colors. You don't have to have the right colors. You have to have the right contrast. Dark's dark enough, light's light enough, makes all the difference in the world between looking flat and suddenly, oh my gosh, not only does it look shiny. Now, the other thing that I would do with this, one of the things that I love about tarantulas and the jumping spiders, I love the fluff. I love their fur, and a lot of people do. Make her furrier. You got some awesome fur on those legs. I would take a liner brush and get more fur up. Fluff those. She has not shaved. It is no shave November for this spider. Get that hair growing. So yeah, give her some hairy, winter legs. She's wearing sweats all winter. She didn't need to shave. Go ahead and fluff her up. That I think would be really, really cute. Also, I think she's eating. It looks like she has a cricket. Yeah, it looks like she's got a cricket or a roach or something she's eating there. I think it was smart to leave that out. Okay, so there we go. That is that one. I'm going to close this now. So those of you who have spider heebie-jeebies, you are safe. It has been changed. Okay. Who is next? I might end up painting my jumping spider. I need to get some more photos of her. She's just, I don't know if it's a male or a female. I'm hoping female, they live longer, but so dang cute. Okay. We have Lonnie. Says, I've been wanting to draw a panda for a while, so when you use this picture, I had to give it a go. I used General's charcoal, a 9x12 Inktense and MeWe, and let's see, I can't get your reference photo attached. Let's see, do I have the original? Oh no. Okay, at first I thought the actual artwork didn't save too. Let me save this. So this one is from one of my lessons, and I kept, oh, this is our last critique in the list. If anybody watching if you're watching live and you want to submit something, it has to be finished for critique. I'm going to have time to go over something. So if you want to email me, lisa@lachri.com. It needs to come in the next 20 minutes or so. I'll try to get to what I can, but it has to be finished. I need to see your reference photo, and I need to know what your goals are. So email those 3 things to lisa@lachri.com, and we can add you in too. Okay, so let me save this. Man, we had some amazing submissions tonight. Okay, that panda isn't wanting to save for me either. It's wanting to do this stupid web file. Probably came from my website is why. I've been having issues with that. That it changed the way they save. No one cares. Move along, Lisa. So let's pull up. I may have to get creative on getting this. Where did I put it? Critiques. So here is our panda. Oh, this came out good. See, now when I do charcoal, I don't go for you can go super detailed. You can go hyperrealism if you want charcoal. I like that looser, sketchy look. So my lessons typically are a little bit this is definitely looks like my lesson. Good, of course. So I'm gonna say it's a good job. Let me pull up. Let's see if I can find at least the. Let's see. Open in a new window. Charcoal. Panda. Do I have the photo? Yes, I have the photo. Hooray! No, I don't have the photo. Which photo is this? Well, where'd you come from? Oh, were you a live stream? Which photo was that? That might have been... It's not the same one, is it? No. Did I do two almost exactly the same? Where did that photo come from? I don't even remember. I feel like, did I do a live stream with a panda? I might have. I think I did now. In which case I'm probably not going to find the photo. That would explain why it was the wrong reference, or the reference photo was coming in as a WEP file. Those are so annoying. You're not in here. Let me see if this is attached. It might be. Graphite live streams. It's going to think about loading. Ah, yes, this was the live stream. Okay, so I just have to find open file location. No, you're not going to do that for me. Why is that? Hold on, it's searching on. Why are you doing it that way? That doesn't make any sense. Note 10. Yeah, so that's not the right photo. That was from a... Sigh, I did not save it that way. Okay, I'm gonna have to save it this way. I have a new way we're gonna do this. If my website decides to load, which has a Black Friday sale if you want a painting. Let's see, panda. Yep. And you are not going to save right, are you? Nope. Okay, we'll do it this way. We will do a screenshot because my website sucks right now. That took ridiculously long, and I apologize. And it's still taking ridiculously long. Critiques. And the worst part is, I can't blame anybody. It's me. It's my site that is causing, like, the fact that it's saved as a weird file, and it's my fault. It is, well, it's my website's fault because it changed how it does it. Okay, and I'm almost ready. There's the photo. Oh, this is good. I don't have much advice on this. I think I like yours better than I like mine. That came out really good. I got nothing. So, oh, Linda. This isn't, the name came in as Lonnie. It's Linda. I know Linda. Linda is amazing. Linda, by the way, came over one day to my house and helped me get caught up in Patreon postcards that I was like 6 months behind on. It was ridiculous. I learned a lot about her cats. She's like rescue lady of all the cats. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, no, I'm not seeing much. Maybe the eyelashes are on the outside are a little bit harsh. I don't know. I'm looking for something to pick apart, and I just don't see much that I would change on this. Your fur direction's going in a good, maybe fluff up a little bit around here. And I mean, I am looking to be super nitpicky because what else am I going to say at this point? I don't see much I would change. I would fluff up here a little bit more. It's a little scraggly. Linda, I know you're looking for advice. I think you did a really good job. This is, you might be able to pull this down a little bit more rounded if I'm looking to be super nitpicky. Yeah, like maybe round the whites. I can't hit the right buttons. The whites out, but I mean, I'm going for nitpicky. I don't have much. Maybe pull the shadows up in here a little bit more. No, I mean, I'm seeing things like if it's a little bit different, I'm like, I see why you would have made that choice. Like there, you've got it a little bit darker in here. I like it. I think that was a good choice. Like anything that I'm seeing different, I would fluff this up a bit more. That is the only thing that I would really change. I think, I lost my camera, would be that. I don't have much on this that I just think anything I'm seeing that's slightly different, I think it was a good choice. This is beautiful. You fluff up his chin. Is not no shave no, or no, it is no shave November. That's what it was. So fluff it up, but fluff this, maybe fluff here and fluff here a little bit. That would be it. I don't have. I think this came out so good. Yeah. No, that's all I've got, which I know is not what you're looking for because you wanted advice, but my advice is you're awesome. Is that a thing? Can that be my advice? So yeah, I don't have that. Let's see what we've got. Did any more come in? Okay, so we've got 4 more. Yay. Or possibly 3, because I think one came twice. So we've got, this one is, let's see, I have no idea where to make it darker. Okay, so this one was sent by, well, the username. I don't remember what the username is on our Discord. Wait, does it say anywhere? No. Let me download this. So we've got our reference photo. We've got the painting. So this is going to be the same thing where we're talking about, I don't have the name. You can call yourself out in Discord, or not in Discord, in chat. Or you can call yourself out in Discord too, because I know you're in there because I saw this. You and you. Okay, so here is our reference photo. Was this one of the wildlife reference photo ones, or was this one from Unsplash? I don't remember. Was that the same one I used? Looks like it. Maybe? I don't know. See, I'm telling you, you paint so much stuff and you start losing sight of what you did and when and which photo. This photo has so much glare that I cannot see. Like there is a red glare that I do not think is on your photo. Yeah, I can see the lights over here. So that is making it a little bit challenging to really see details here. I love the way you did that background. That is really cool. You got that crackle background. So cool. Was that the same fox I did on my crackle background? I don't even remember. You'll have to let me know. So we don't have any lights or darks, and the orange is too orange. But that might be that there is some weird tint of red color going on that I don't think is the painting itself. I'm pretty sure that that is partially an issue of I don't think this is a flash. I don't know what's causing the red on there, but I don't think that's accurate. But let's pretend it is what it looks like in person. So we've got a few things. It's so red, so orange. So if we look at our colors, we're going to start with that. Oh, do I not have that anymore? I do. Let's look, what I like to do when I paint, like, let's say if I was painting this box, I'm going to go with whatever my darkest orangey fur color, that's a good base. And that dark color is, oh, here, I guess I should do it on here so you can see it better. So maybe something like this, kind of a reddish brown, like a brown Van Dyke. It's not super crazy. Oh, Fleming said, I was making a red fox. It's red. You manage. It is a red fox, but it's like a more brownish tone. It's a softer, a little bit more neutral. So I would start with that. So starting a lot darker than what you currently have, and then when we go into the lighter colors, now, no, the color is not the biggest deal. You could have a super red fox. That is fine. Like, let's say you want stop sign red. That is fine. But you got to get your values in there. And that is what we're really missing here. The values and the details. So let's say we've got our highlights. Let's look at this, like it's kind of like a raw sienna type. We don't, everything, see, as we go around here, if we look at, watch this little circle. Watch how it stays kind of in the same, is that showing up on that one? Yeah. It's mostly as I dip around your painting, it's kind of in the same general area. If I do the same thing to this guy, I am all over that board. I'm all the way in all four corners, and that is what you want. You want that contrast. You want your darks and your lights and your everything, not one little space. So you can do that, but we need those darks and those lights. This is your base. This can be a base. I mean, you're fine for a base layer, but it's definitely not finished. Like it is not finished. So we need to get the darks in there. We need to get the eye. We have so many darks we need to get in here. Like just, what do I have? Oops, layer, new layer. We've got to get these, I mean, look at how dark I need to go. I need to go, like, it's black. Actually, that comes up a little bit more. I'm not even in the right place here. Pay attention to what you're drawing, Lisa. He's just kind of squinty. We've got this dark area that comes through here. We've got to get all of that in there. That is just completely, I mean, look at the difference in how dark that, and that's not even dark enough. I need to darken that even more. Where's my color? I mean, in what I'm showing you here, that line is wrong. Whoops, I got a little crazy there. What I'm showing you is just how dark your darks need to be. So I'm pulling in some of these deeper darks, and it gives you an idea. Obviously, that looks terrible, what I just did, but that's because the rest of it is not right. We need our darks that much darker. I mean, dark. We need, the nose is not drawn right, by the way. That needs a little bit of work in there. Oh, I don't have my eraser set right. Hold on. We need to get like that touched up there, but look at how dark. I mean, that is how dark a lot of this needs to go. And if you don't get it dark enough, our lights can't even get light enough. Oh, we have the Flaming Moon said, thank you so much. She gave us $20 super chat. By the way, we get a quick, we're coming back to this, but we've got a quick then treat for the fish. So you guys get a bonus feeding, which is kind of funny because if I were not live streaming, they usually get fed about every hour. So that's not that different for them. Usually live streams, they don't get much though. You get a super chat. Sorry, boys. Oh no, not you guys. You guys have to wait till after the stream. You get after the stream chats. There you go. Thank you so much for the super chat. But okay, now after that break, let's go back to actually talking about this painting, because I got more. Okay. Thank you again. The fish definitely thank you. Okay. That's fun. Anyway, so let's come up here. So you can see again, look how dark. What I like to do, if you're struggling, boys, go lay down. If you knock over that easel I've got out there, go lay down. Lay down. Get. I don't want you hanging around that camera. I've got a tripod. I said easel. I mean tripod. With a very expensive camera on it, and there. Get. Oh, Wade is not listening. Oh my gosh. Wow. Go lay down. Bad cow. It's the baddest of cows. He's like, if you don't get out of your seat, I don't think you're serious. See, I'm telling you, he's the baddest cow. Don't worry, they will get plenty of treats after the stream. So moving on. If we can block in some of our darkest darks first, I find it just makes it so much easier to judge some of your other values. And that's why I usually will start with the eyes or the inside of the ears, because those are usually going to have some of your darkest spots when you're dealing with animals. Not always, but usually. So let's go ahead and let's see. We've got, like, in here, look at the difference in color around the muzzle. We've got this almost white. Oops, I meant to do it on here. I keep forgetting to do it right. Look at how light that is, but look at yours. That is a big difference. So you're going to need to pull in a lot of this, like really lighten that up. But even right now, putting it against what you have right now, it doesn't look as extreme as it should because I don't have the darks in. So same thing, we're going to come back through. Let's look at how dark this would be. If we can get some of these dark, and I'm just doing loose sketches to give you an idea value-wise, we've got these darks in here. We've got darks in here. We've got, I mean, look at how seriously dark we need to go on a lot of this. I'm making a hot mess, but you get the idea. And then same thing as we come through here. So we've got the ear comes down. You've got everything mapped out. Like, this should be easy at this point. You got the hard part done. We've got to define, this is going to be a definite shadow between here. This area, you've got another definite shadow as we move through here. Here's the first switches directions again. But see, if we can start getting those shadows in, we're going to start getting a lot more form. We've got the darker shadow down here. We've got the eye. I mean, again, it's so much darker. And then as we come up in here, same thing. You start getting, as we layer this over it, this is not the right brush size for, or brush type for this. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea of location of all of these. Let's actually soften this just to kind of. But look at the difference in how light we need to start getting a lot of this. And you still need to do your detail with your brush strokes and such, but I like to start with the darks and then put the lighter hairs on top. That would be where I would go. DJ said, I wonder if they did a bed swap. I would almost guarantee it because there's so many beds out there. There's very little chance they landed in the same bed they started in. But anyway, yeah, coming back, getting these highlights, getting these shadows, getting all of these darks in there. Start building that up and build slowly. You don't have to jump to the darkest. I mean, you can do it kind of slow for that base, but get those in. And then what I would do, but I mean, I've got the video doing it and I'm not sure which type, there's so many different methods you can go with, but if you go through, get your darkest darks in there, like paint them all the darker brown, then take a rake brush or your liner brush or whatever and use white, just do white, brown. Get your hairs in there. When it dries, glaze over it. Now, when you glaze, it's thinned down a lot. You don't want a thick glaze that's so opaque that you just covered all of your darks. Like you can't even see them looking dark anymore. So, oh yeah, Flying Moon says I'm drying the little hairs again. Oh yeah, you lost your hairs. Your hairs are gone. Your hairs. I would paint the whole fox darker brown. Reddish brown's fine. This is too light. Everything's too light, and your hairs aren't even, your hairs are gone. Your hairs, you glaze, I don't know if you glaze too many glazes, that is possible. Like if it was too opaque, you lost the hairs. So if you look at, hold on, let me pull this out. Which fox did I do that on? I don't know. Okay, here's mine. So this, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. This was my original fox. And so you've got the whole lesson. I would start again with the lesson on the, once we start with the fox, I would do that part again to build up the fur. Because if we look at yours, you said you have to do the fur again. Yeah, it's blocked in. You can see which direction it goes, but you can't see it. Like nothing. It's all kind of one solid. It doesn't have any lights or darks. We've got to get those lights and darks in there. Let's see. Do I have the steps on this one? I don't. I bet it's in the real location. Hold on. If this doesn't do it, I know another way I can. Wait, no, that way actually wouldn't work. I don't know my alphabet, so I have a hard time finding stuff I'm looking for. There he is. Do we have the steps? Dang it, I don't have the steps posted. Was I not doing the steps back then? No, it doesn't look like it. Maybe then here, hold on. Okay, good, I have it. Okay, so let me show you the steps that I used when I put this together. I know, Tuna Bird. This, I think, will give you a better idea. And you can download these. These are available all over on Patreon. So let's look. Ooh, that was an interesting mess. Step 1, I started by painting it white, but that's because I had the weird background, so I had to do that. Then I needed something dark. I went purple. I just went dark. Look how dark my base layer is. You got to go dark. Now, it doesn't matter if you go purple. It doesn't matter if you go dark. Burgundy red would be fine. You need to go dark. No, I would not do the next layer in oil. I know that's what you're thinking. You are, even if you wanted to do oil over acrylic, you are not ready for the oil layer. You're just making your life harder than it needs to be. We got to back up a little bit. No, it's not chicken. You're hearing my canary tuna. Then I'm just going to use white. Keep it basic. Make this super harsh. I really need to see, like, I want to see the dark. I want to see the light. I need it to be harsh because when you glaze, it's going to tone that harshness down. If it's not harsh enough at this stage, when you go to glaze, it's too soft. And I think that's what happened on yours. I think that not start over, sort of. Your background's fine. Leave your background alone. You can see the hair. You're not really starting over, but you need to get your darks dark. Yeah. Here's what it looked like before I glazed. And I'm still going to have to go through and darken up my darks. But look at how defined the fur is. Your fur needs to be at least this well defined, if not more, before you start glazing. Because if it's not, if your darks aren't dark enough, your lights aren't light enough, when you glaze, it's just solid. You have a cartoon because it's too solid. And that's what's happening with yours right now. It's too solid. We want to get that definition in there. And then we can start glazing. But even when we glaze, we don't leave it just glazing. Go back and watch this video again and see how when I glaze and start tinting the color, I still come back over it with highlights and with individual fur on top of it. It's not as simple as just glaze and done. Sometimes, but not always. This is definitely not one of the cases. And here, even when I glazed, look at how flat the back end of the head and the neck looks. By the way, if you are not a member on Patreon, most of the lessons now have step-by-step like this for you to download to make it a little bit easier to understand. So you can, like, Fly Me to the Moon, you can go download this right now and make sure yours is at that stage before you move on to the next part of the video. It's going to make it easier for you. If it doesn't look like that, we need to back up a little bit and make sure it looks at least closer. So next, let's say step 6. And then we've got the definite definition. I mean, look at the difference even here where it's too soft. I mean, it's layer after layer after layer. You're probably at layer 2, but layer 2 isn't dark enough. Actually, no, you are at layer, you're at layer 2, but your layer 2 is not dark enough. You're here. So you're going to do it again, yes, because you can do this, but we've got to get that darker layers in there and the more definition of the fur before you start glazing. And here, like, that doesn't look good at that stage. That's fine. We've got to define it more. And then our final stage is when I came through and really glazed I glazed more with the red tone. I started pulling the blues in at this stage. But it's layer on top of layer on top of layer. You're still at layer 2, or stage 2, step 2, but you're calling it step 8, finished step. You know, you're not wrong yet. Like, your painting's not bad. It's not done. It's nowhere near done. And this is one of the things that I would say is the biggest challenge for a lot of artists. It's not that their painting is bad. It's just not done yet. They call it done too. I say they, but you are one of them right now. We all did this. I did this. We always call it done too soon. Keep working on it. I want you to back all the way up to step 2 on that lesson and start from there. But you've got to darken yours first. If it's not dark enough, when you glaze, your white's not going to stand out enough for the highlights, so that when you glaze, so what happens when you glaze? You tint the color. If your color is not close enough to get, like if they're too close together when you glaze, it brings them even closer. You're glazing, if my colors, my darks are really dark, my lights are really light, and I glaze over it, it pulls them in a little bit. But if I started here where they're not that big of a difference between the two, and yours is like here, and I glaze, there's nothing. You lost all definition of any fur. The eye doesn't, nothing stands out. So we've got to you want high contrast before you glaze. You need to be here, not here, as far as the difference in color between your lights and your darks. They need to be far away from each other, not super close. And I know that seems scary, but that's why you've got these downloadable steps it's going to make it easier for you. Get that high contrast. You can do this. I have no doubt you can do this, but we got to back up and get that contrast in there. And I would not start over. You're just, you're starting your brain over, because your brain thinks you're at step 7 or 8, when you're really at you're just at step 2. You're just wrong on what, your painting's not wrong. You're just wrong about which step you're at right now. But you've got to get that contrast. That will make all the difference in the world for you. I'm so glad that you submitted this, because I know you posted on our Discord, and I hadn't seen it lately. So yeah, no, this will be good. Vladimir said, excuse me, I did all the steps. And I get that. I totally get that. It's just, it's so hard to get our brains to go high contrast. It's going to look, you're trying to make it look good at those earlier steps by you're not doing too many contrast things. More contrast, darks really dark, lights, you can go black and white if you want to before you start glazing. That would honestly be fine too. I'd rather see that than mid-tone red and mid-tone highlight. If that, like, you know, I want to see high contrast. And post as you're painting this, when you go back over that, I want you to post and tag me in it on our Discord. It's if any of you are like, Discord, what is it? It's for our Patreon group. So if you're on Patreon, you get access to that. But tag me in it, so I'm sure to see it, because I don't always see everything. Tag me, because I want to see where you're at before you move to the next step. Let's do a little bit of coaching on your specific painting. I want to come back. I want to show everyone what we can get this to. But let's back up to step 2. I want you to start by darkening it all up. And then we're going to do just white, paint all those hairs back in again. Dark and white, and we're going to start with that. But I want you to get, like, I want to see it before you move on to the next step this time. So hopefully that will help. Let's see. Next. How do I fluff it up? Linda says, how do I fluff it up? So going back to the panda with the fur, just thinking more lines, more. God, that is not the answer I usually give people. More, a little bit thicker, a little bit more dense, a few more lines in there. So like where you had the side of the head, you had the forehead of the panda, that was dense fur, that was thicker. Do a little bit more dense fur on those areas. Just pull it down a little bit further. Flavia said, I'm going to cry. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad I could help. But no, I think we've got this. We're just going to back up a little. We're going to get this. Okay. And if you are on Patreon and you're not in our Discord, if it didn't, it's supposed to automatically hook you up, but it doesn't all the time. Dolphin Soul, can you remind me? I need to post an updated link for you guys, so you can just manually go in and get into our Discord. So, let's see. Where are we at? We had a couple more submissions. Okay, Kendra. Now, I'm going to try to get through all of these. I'm going to go through a little bit faster. So no more submissions from here on out. If you haven't already submitted, don't submit now. So I'm definitely got enough to finish the lesson off. So we have, Kendra said, you know me as Dane Mum too. ×2, but Kindra works too. Here's my version of this giraffe. The photo is from your Patreon lessons. Didn't you? Why didn't? Yeah, you sent this earlier today, and I saw it. I think I screwed up and didn't put it in the right folder? So I'm sorry that you had to send it again. But thank God that you did, because I would feel really, really bad when I ended the stream and realized I missed it. Anyway, she used pan pastels and colored pencil for the most part on this giraffe. Some of the background and trees were pastel pencils. I'm 95% happy with this, but the background still bothers me. Too busy. Maybe I'm being too fuzzy. Your thoughts? Okay, so let me pull this up. So, you know, the funny thing about that, I ran into the same situation about that busy background. I did a graphite giraffe, and I kind of felt the same with mine. I did the bokeh background, and I felt like I just had a little bit too much contrast. You, however, toned yours down in a way I'll show you in just a moment. I'm just pulling this up. You toned yours down enough that you improved on what I didn't like when I had that happen. It was a similar photo too, also a giraffe. Let's see. Let me get this in here. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love how this came out. Oh my gosh. So one of my older Patreon photos. Actually, this probably was the one I did with the color graphite. I think this might have been the photo I used. I'm pretty sure I've done this photo a few times. I love this shot. I like yours. I don't think. I mean, you could go a bit, if you go lighter, like the original photo was a bit lighter. The problem is if you go too light, then your giraffe isn't going to stand out as much because you lightened up the face of your giraffe, which I think was a good choice because pull this up, because my photo is a little bit dark on the face. So I like where you lightened that up. And I think that having the background darker was the solution there. I don't think it's too busy. Meh. You might be able to get some of the blue spots in here toned down a little. I don't think you need it a lot. Oops. Oh. We can kind of, let's see what happens if we take some of those spots out. I don't know, maybe it's better, maybe it's not. That's what we're going to find out. What if we just soften some of that? This is what I love so much about using Photoshop in my art, to kind of get an idea. What happens if I tone things down? Do I like it better? Do I not like it better? I don't know. Let's see. So I don't think we really need a little bit on the reference. So the one thing I would say with the reference photo, I would probably go a little bit darker on the darks inside the eye, on the inside of the eye. The outside I think is dark enough. I think the inside in here, I would probably darken a little bit more. And I would make the highlight. You're kind of missing the highlight right in here. I would make that highlight stand out a bit. I think that would be that would look really good. But let's pull besides that. Let's just see softening the background. Yeah, I do think taking some of that blue out, just softening it a little bit, would make the giraffe stand out more. And I don't think it's something where it's not a good piece if you don't make that change, but I do think I like it a little bit better softened up. Now, I do think that that's also going to be personal preference. You may have people who are watching, let us know. Do you like it with more of the blues showing or less? Because chances are you're going to have a combination of both. Some people are going to like one, some are going to like the other. I think we're getting into personal preference. For me, I like it toned down a little bit because it makes the giraffe stand out more. I would almost even tone that background up even more, like darkening the background with darker browns and olives would make the giraffe stand out even more, which might be an option for you. What is it? They have a new thing on here, and I never remember which tool it is. It's not that tool. Is it window? Oh, I always forget what it's called because it's new. Tool preset. I don't think that's it. I think it's this. What happens? Hold on. I'm going to try something, and I don't do it often because it's new and I just haven't. What happens if not ratio? What are you doing? That's not what I'm trying to do. Oh, I have to do it this way. Remove the background. It's thinking. Okay, and then what happens if I then take this one, oops, that's not what I meant to do at all. And let's darken that up. Image adjustments. Let's just go with curves. I'm just curious. Look how much more he stands out if we darken that background up. So see, I'm telling you, Photoshop, it will, or whatever photo editor, it helps you to see what might look better. And in this case, I would probably go back to what happens if we soften it, because this one got rid of the softer areas. Like just kind of pull some of those blues out a little bit so it's not as much. It does make him stand out a lot, so that would certainly, let me, just to kind of get a look of the two. So we have the original, just kind of playing around with things to see, do I like him better standing out or more soft? And that's up to you. Again, we're going back to personal preference. I like the darker. I think he stands out better. So maybe softening that and darkening it up so that he is like in your face more. Kind of a cool look. So just some things to consider, but I would definitely pull that shine too in the eye on the underside. Would make a big difference in making him look like he has that glassy eye, and then make the darks a little bit darker. Okay, who is next? We've got Lily. And let me download these. I think this came in multiple emails, so I've got to go back and read. Okay, this is an acrylic in 18 by 24. My own composition. Would like your opinion on composition. Okay. Oh, we're done with you. It's kind of weird. I have the Patreon photos saved on my computer, and now I'm downloading my own Patreon photos from you guys too. I don't know, kind of a weird little circle there that no one cares about. Lisa, move on. Pull up the photo. Okay, Lily. Oh, that's cool. That's really a neat look. Okay, so here's your composition. Oh, and I like your sketch. I love that you did the sketch first. I always love looking at the before sketch and after sketch. That your deer's off in the distance. That's really cool. I like the composition on this. And I like that you did the sketch so you could see what it would look like as you added things in here. I think you did a wonderful job. There's a little bit of, on the form of the person, and it may be the angle, because when you skew a photo, which this one is turned a little bit, it does skew the image. So the figure is not 100% perfect. So, you know, that's if I'm going to get nitpicky. But no, I like this. I think I would maybe soften this line just a bit between the horizon and the grass, maybe, but that's not composition. That's not even what you're asking for. I would soften some like this tree back here. Anything as you move back, I'd like to soften it a bit, but of course you want the deer to be in focus enough. And I like that the deer's not too like crazy in like too much detail, because he is in the distance. You wouldn't see that much. I might pull a few deeper shadows with him because he is deeper in the forest, just a little bit. He's very flat as far as like his antlers are just solid white, or maybe unbleached titanium white. And the reds, I might soften some. I would do it in Photoshop first, because you may do it and go, I wish I had not done that. But no, this is a really neat composition. I like it. I like the balance. It has a nice balance. Like, I don't feel like it's weighed down one side or another. And that's when I'm looking at composition. That's a lot of what I'm looking at. When I first glance at that, am I being too drawn into the wrong area? And I don't feel that here. I mean, a little bit at the deer, because he's kind of like, hey, look at me. But then again, that's kind of the point of this painting, right? You need the deer to stand out enough. He's in the distance enough. I think that's great. No, I don't really have much. I think that your positioning is good. The bow, I would put a little bit more shading on the bow. Like it's too white all the way across. So one of the things that happens, we do this a lot when we do trees or whatever. We'll look at something, we're like, okay, this has a highlight that goes all along this side, and this side, that means this side is completely shadowed, and that's what you've got here. What in reality, the way light hits and the way that it bounces around, and especially in a forest, you're gonna have bits of the light peeking through parts of the tree. So you may have on a branch, or in the bow in this case, a shadow here, and then a highlight, and then a shadow, and it seems kind of random. But when you can get that level of highlights, and this is me being nitpicky because this is really good, but if you can get a little bit more there, I think that would be good. So that you've got, like, the lighting is, I guess, where I would focus. I love the softness you've got at the base of these trees. Oh my God. The more I look at this, the more I'm seeing, like, this is really well done. This is the wrong tool. See, oh, that is going to be way too big. What are you doing? You are just too excited. Calm down. Okay, look at, no, don't look at that. That's not right. My pens are all messed up. Here, that softness into that tree, I love that. I love the softness you have into the ground. I think that is just so well done. And like I said, where I'm talking about with the shadows and stuff, that's me being nitpicky. Make sure this is more straight, but I think that is, you always want your skyline. You don't really want too much of a hill unless it's like a full-on mountain hill. But I think in this case, it's just that the angle of this isn't straight on. So I think it's an issue of the photograph, not the painting. No, I really like a lot about this. I would maybe have a little bit more transition too as you move back here into the foreground. That is very, like, the color here is the same as the color here. Like, maybe get a little bit more variation so that you add some depth there, and then let that fade out a little bit. I would probably, yeah, I would soften that line myself, or, if it was me, which again gives you that depth in the perspective, like it pushes it back that way more. And you did that a lot all through here. It just that all back here is a little bit more solid. I would let that fade into your blue a bit more. So you've got the warmth up here, which pulls it closer, and then it starts to cool down as it moves back there, which you have. I would just do it a little bit more. No, this is great. Yeah, those are my tips. Good job. I love the sketch too. That I don't know about you guys. I love seeing the sketch before the painting. So fun to, like, if you are posting things on social media, do that. If you've got a loose sketch, post that with your finished project. It's so cool to see. Okay. Next we have, oh, Dolphin Soul got brave. She finally decided to submit for critique. She hasn't wanted to. Let's see, save image, and I believe this is her, yep, this is her own reference photo. Save image. She said, I'm jump keen. I got to pick on her for something. It's going to be for her spelling right now. She's jump keen in accept critique, even though it's terrifying to me because I've never done it before, so be gentle. This is my second attempt at pan pastel and Derwent light fast pencils, but it's my first try using my own photo. Not doing your lesson. It's on an 8x10. Definitely wanted to get rid of the harsh light on the side and add more blue-green tones to him. I struggled with getting the eyebrow curvature, the bill detail in the middle, and how to get the tiny feather details around the face. Let's see, you did an 8x10, you're not going to get tiny detail. Like, you're only going to go so tiny on an 8x10. So that answers that. I don't even have to look at it. I just, 8x10, you go for your lighting more than detail at that point usually. I'm thrilled with how it came out, but I want to grow. Okay, so let's pull these up and take a look. How cute is he? Okay, so what we want to focus on when you're working on something like an 8x10 and you've got that much detail, you're going to focus more on the lighting than the detail. My favorite part, which it seems weird, this contrast back here looks so good. Like, that is just, Maybe that's not where my attention is supposed to be, but man, is that done well. But on the flip side, if you could take this level, I just gave her a heart attack saying on the flip side because she knows it's coming. Carissa's a friend, so she's used to me. But if we could take this contrast, look at that dark and that light. If we could take that, and I know you said you wanted to tone down the brightness on the side of the face. Why? Why would you want to tone that down? That's amazing. That's part of what makes this photo so awesome. Play that up. That is amazing. That is an awesome photo. So I lost my thing. This is the photo is so strong. I'm not going to try to make changes on it. Like I want to play that up. The side of the face, that harsh contrast, get that in there. And I think that's one of the reasons that you're having the hard time getting the curvature and stuff, because you toned down the really strong highlights and the really strong shadows. You brought them too close together. So they're more mid-tone. Well, now you lose the curvature. You lose that dimension because you don't have those strong, your photo is freaking amazing. Don't change, I don't see anything I'd want to change on that. I want to get those highlights in there. If we just start pulling those out, whoops, that is not what I meant to do. No, don't do any of my automated things. My God, I'm tired. Let's pull those highlights. Whoops, maybe not that harsh. You start pulling these in here. Maybe not that harsh. So also, why don't I make my life easier and put a new layer? New layer. Duplicate layer. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. That'll work. Whatever. It's fine. Okay. So let's pull those highlights in there, and you're going to start changing the shape of his face because he has the highlights. It doesn't need to be there's never going to be a time, I don't want to say never because there's always exceptions, but there is almost never going to be a time where I want to tone down, your photo is fun, play that up. That lighting is just wow. Pull that back in and it's going to change the shape of his face. You've got, what's going on here? Wait, you've got the highlight here. You got that. We've got these ridges. We got you. We're missing this. So there is part of it. You've got a whole highlight here that's missing. And this would be a little bit straighter. It's not that curved. So straighten that out a bit. And then all through here, this side of the face has these definite, we want to pull that back in. You've got this shadow, this should be in shadow there, and then you pull these in. When you start pulling those highlights, and I'm just going through this quickly because we're almost done here, and I've got another one to go through, but you can see what I mean by pull those in there. Don't tone that down. Take advantage of that amazing photography, which is funny because you took the photo yourself. You're downplaying what made your photo so good. Get those back in there and you will change his expression just because of the highlights. See, because this highlight isn't highlighted enough, that shadow doesn't stand out enough. And that's why you're not getting that grump face as much as you could. Your darks can be darker. But I'm overdoing this because I'm just sketching through quickly. But you want to get those highlights in there because he goes from being so, just good photo to, I did such a crappy job because I rushed it. But you get the point, if you can start pulling those highlights back in there, we don't want to lose that. The same thing, side of the face, this area in here, I want to see all those highlights in there again. Pull that back out because that is going to make a more unique painting. It's going to be more striking. It's what's going to set you apart from the artist who's doing something that is very flat and very yeah, you did a good job. Oh, light's going off. You did a good job, but you could be, more highlights. You got this. Okay. That would be my tip there. And let's go. Great work though. Did we have one more? I don't want to miss out. I've got two more. Let's do this really quick. If I can. Oh, this looks like it should be easy because it's already like, it's good. Let's pull these in. We've got our reference photo. I know, Tuna. I am aware. Let's see. And we've got the artwork. Really good job. So what does the artist say? Which artist is this? This is Kendra Williams. Hi, Lisa. I'm hoping to do pet and wildlife portraits. Any tips to improve this boxer? Reference photo from Pixabay. Okay, darker. That's really it. Your drawing is so accurate. You're great there. I'd make the darks darker. Your lights look light enough. A little bit lighter on the chin, a little bit lighter on the nose, maybe a little, not much. Mainly, darks darker. Yeah, that would be it. I would make define. You can see around the eye. God, the shine on your eye looks so much better than the reference photo. You lightened it because you've got more gloss there. Excellent. Man, that looks good. Yeah, I would just make the darks a little bit darker. You're working, I think you said, with charcoal. Well, obviously it's charcoal, so I guess it could have been with colored pencil. Yeah, go darker on the darks, but other than that, it is really good. Okay, that was easy. That wasn't even just because I was rushing. It's just, I don't know how much is it to add to that. Just darker on the darks. Okay, now we've got a cat. This is going to make Linda happy. Enjoy your tutorials and have learned a lot from you. This is from Nancy. I'm in the beginning stages of doing pet portraits. I need a lot of practice in this painting. I wanted it to look like the pet, but not paint every hair as so as to be a realistic painting. I had trouble with the table. If I got it too light, it looked like it was crooked. Okay. Let's take a look. I think, is this our last one for the night? Oh, yeah, Kendra, the other one said she did do it in charcoal. Okay, so this is our last one. So we'll go through this real quick and wrap up. Where did I put things? I'm getting really tired, can you tell? Let's see. You too, Tuna? You've got an hour before bedtime. You're not that tired. There's the cat. There's the reference photo. Let's pull you two over. I don't think I need this. So here's our reference. We've got a ginger kitty. That table, it looks so good, but man, would that be a lot of work. And I can already see where our problems are on that table. So the cat, I would pull, oh man, did you do a good job. That cat is the fur is the contrast. Great work there. I mean, you can go a little bit more with the ginger color if you wanted to, like a little bit more orangey, but it looks like your entire painting is on the blue or cooler side, so it makes sense that yours is toned down. Your cat isn't such a warm orange, so that actually works fine. So no comment there. Well, I mean, I made a comment, but I take it back. So the table, you commented on, let's see, your actual, I wanted it to look like the pet, but not every hair. Okay, so you're good. Trouble with the table. If I got it too light, it looked like it was crooked. So the table, and this is, yeah, Nancy, Nan. The table isn't drawn accurately, which is funny because your cat is perfectly. So this is one of the things that I think happens a lot. We will put so much work into the part we think is hard that the part that is harder, or like the table, we're like, that's a table, doesn't matter, we'll go through it real quickly. No, you can't. If you're going to do that table, you're going to spend as long as you did on that cat to make it look good. Because if you don't, it makes the whole painting doesn't feel as strong as it could be. So if we look at the table, let's look at the perspective. That is really what our problem is here. What color do I have? Nope, not that color. This here is smaller. Up here, it gets wider. I mean, you can't really see it as easy, and I can't draw apparently. But this widens up as it gets closer to the viewer, and it's skinny back here. So like I'm going to over-exaggerate it, like a triangle, and it gets wider and wider. So that obviously I just overdid, but that's what it needs to be. What's happening on yours is wider, it gets thin, and then you would be wider here again. So your table needs the word, and I know you can do this because your cat is flipping amazing, but the table you rushed because you're thinking it's a table, no big deal. I would either not draw this table, which would probably be what I'd go with, have them on something solid that just kind of fades into the background, like a blanket, whatever, make your life easier. But if you choose to do this table, it can look phenomenal if you put the same amount of work into this that you did in the cat. And I know that is no fun. I know nobody wants to do that. I just lost my screen. It's a lot. I mean, a lot, because your perspective is going to make a big difference here. So the reason that these look thick back here is because they're out of focus. They're not actually thick. They need to be thinner. This, you've got thick and then thin up here. That's the reverse. The reason they kind of look thick here, again, it's just that they're softened out. If you're not going to soften yours out and you're going to leave them as harsh as what you did, then they need, that sounds accusatory, as if you leave them as harsh as you did. But if you leave them that harsh, you're going in reverse. Your perspective is completely wrong because of that. See how thin these are? They're too thin if these are that thick. It screws up the eyes like, wait, what am I seeing here? You can make your life so much easier by just putting them on a solid surface, a blanket, a wood table. You can put the wood grain if you want. You still have to worry about your perspective with the wood grain, but something easier would, like this. And at this point, if it were me and I decided I wanted that table, I would start the whole table over. Oh, that is just not what anyone wants to hear. But the perspective is so far off that it's too far gone to really just go in and fix. You would need to start the table from scratch. So in that case, how attached are you to that table? If you do it right and you put the insane amount of time into it, it'll look amazing. But do you want to, like, is that really where you want to go? Is it worth it to you to put that in there? But it's, it's a perspective issue because the perspective isn't right. And a lot of that, like here, and I see what you're looking for with, if you use a projector, you probably are seeing that these look wide. They're not wide, they're out of focus. So they look spread out like it's kind of a solid mat almost, like a fuzz. So that is, that's what's largely happening there. It's a huge perspective thing. But here's the thing, if you didn't varnish this, it doesn't, I can't tell, but if you didn't varnish it, you just wood table now, like simplify it. He's sitting on a table, wood grain, like little, make your life easier. If I was going to repaint this, I personally would not want to paint that table. That looks like all kinds of not fun because of the like seriously tedious work. Now, to be fair, if you are somebody who likes tedious work, like I know artists who will draw lace every little tedious thing and they love it, and it is so rewarding. It's worth it. It looks amazing. I think I might put the time into lace. I wouldn't personally put the time into a metal table. I don't think it's fancy enough to Shayna said but the background, I love it so much. Great color grading. Oh, absolutely. I love the color choice. And with the wood, if I were to do a wood grain table, I would do it like the whitewashed wood, or maybe wood that was brown painted white, but the white is kind of peeling off. Like you can find reference photos like that, Photoshop it in to see how it looks. But you can just, you get your wood grain in there so you can get the detail. But dear God, is it easier, and you're not dealing with a perspective issue. This is just like looking at that table. There's no way in heck that I would even consider painting it because I don't love it enough that I would be willing to put that level of work. If you love it enough, go for it. I don't. Lace, I'll put that level of work into it. But, and then the thing is with lace, you don't even have the perspective issue like you would here. Like those the man-made lines where you get into that sort of thing. That's so, and I know you put so much work into this. I know you did put a lot of work into that table, but let's say you put 8 hours of work in that table, you probably need to put like 30. Like that's how much that table is going to suck to paint and make look right. So, and I'm not saying it has to take 30 hours. I'm saying whatever you spent, throw on a whole lot more. So, you've done a great job, but yeah, it's just a perspective thing. And that cat is such a good, like you did such an amazing job. I think it is worth repainting that so that it doesn't pull down the quality of this, because that is an amazing, like I am so impressed with the way you did the cat. Maybe because it's similar to the style I like mine to look. So, maybe I'm a bit biased there. But yeah, I would just change the table, look up and I would Photoshop it first, because you may think, or I may think, I'm like, okay, a white table, great idea. You go to paint it and you're like, wow, that looks way worse. Photoshop it in, figure out if it's going to look good before you hit the table and see, does it look better if I soften the back edge? Maybe it looks good with a harsh edge, or maybe it looks good if it just fades out in the background. But I would keep the colors very similar, because these colors do work so well with the colors. If you made it like a warm wood, you're going to have to repaint the color of the cat. You'd have to glaze him. So I don't think you should change the colors of the table or the colors. Like if you, again, going with wood, I'm just using that as an example. I wouldn't change the colors. I would make it look like painted wood. But because otherwise you're going to be stuck repainting the cat to make it balance out. So the color balance, perfect. It's just there's a perspective issue going on. So anyway, there you go. I hope that helps. This is, you guys, man, thank you guys, everyone, so much for submitting. This was such lots of great lessons that I was able to talk about that's hard to teach unless someone's willing to put themselves up on the chopping block. So cutting block, chopping block. How does that saying go? I don't know. Thank you guys so much. You are everyone who submitted. I'm so impressed with you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you to the moderators. Check out their links. They are in the video description. And I don't know what we're doing next week. I have no idea. I'm tired. I'm not thinking right now. But yeah. Is that it? I don't know. There's probably something else I needed to ramble about, but I don't know what it is. So I don't know. I think that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.